Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Good morning. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. This show is brought to you by DraftKings. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Fun show lineup here on a Thursday. Nigel Seeley on the Euros today, coming up in 30 minutes. We'll get into a Jets preview coming up before then, and that's going to be at about 15. Also on the program today, Mike Palm in studio a little bit later on, and Richard Roper. So, Paulie, last night, with the NBA Finals over with, the draft is, it starts a week from yesterday. It's a 2-night draft now that we have in the NBA. A couple of days off between games in the NHL Stanley Cup, and it's really not quite football season yet. It feels to me like this was the perfect time to announce a news item that nobody wanted to hear. We'll tell you what that is coming up here in a second. But let's rewind first to late March. I think Fran Fraschilla is a great basketball analyst. And he tweeted this out during March Madness. He said, here's the plan. 72 teams in the field. All 32 automatic qualifiers are seeded into the field. The top 24 at-large teams are seeded into the field. Then the remaining 16 at-large teams play in the first 8 in Dayton, 4 games each instead of 2. Nothing else changes. I'm a purist, but I'm a realist. What did you think about it I remember we talked about this on the air back in March. Yep. What did you think about it back then?
If it's going to happen, that's the one I can sign up for. The first comment to the Fraschilla tweet, which has 900,000 views, is from Matt Humans. This plan is so good, I would promote expanding the tournament. It's going to happen anyways. And this is the one I can live with because we get more games on that Tuesday and Wednesday. And I think you should not, if you win your automatic bid to get the conference tournament, you should not play in an play-in game.
I totally agree with that.
Now, that's garbage what they're doing. But these guys out here with these commissioners of the power conferences just say, nobody wants to see this, by the way, with like 17 and 15 overall.
You don't deserve to be in the tournament.
Yeah, 6 and 12 in conference or 7 and 11. You don't want to reward mediocrity. And for these guys to come out like the Big 12 commissioner to say, wow, I want to put the best teams in the field, I don't know if we're doing that, which is laughable when we just saw Grand Canyon win a game, had Alabama on the ropes who went to the Final Four, James Madison, Utah State, Oakland who beat Kentucky, Duquesne, Yale beat Auburn. The year before, Furman won, Princeton went to the Sweet 16, Florida Atlantic went to the Final Four. But he's going to come out and say, I don't know if the best teams are getting in, which is ridiculous, and you're the only people that think this way.
Right, so I'm curious, as a gambling network, and a huge percentage of our audience, obviously, they bet on games every single day. Maybe not all of you. I'd say 90+%, maybe higher than that, whatever it is. Are you affected by this as a bettor? Because I will tell you, like I felt the same exact way about bowl games for several years. If you're 5-7, you don't deserve to be in a bowl game. What are we doing? You have to reward a team that it was actually decent during the year. I fought 6-6 teams. You can't be 500 and make a bowl, but they kept expanding and adding more bowl games, and eventually we had like 84 teams make a bowl. But you know what that is? As a result, then that means we have more games to bet on. So are bettors really upset over the idea of the college basketball tournament, the most popular event the entire year outside of the NFL? Are we really upset that we're going to add more games? That's what I'm curious about. The email is open, ftm@vsin.com. We're on X at VSiN Live, at Mitch Moss Radio, at Paulie Howard. This is from Ross Dellinger, who had the story right away yesterday, when he tweeted out the NCAA moved one step closer to a journey to expand the tournament. They presented D1 commissioners with models that would expand the event by 4 teams or 8 teams as soon as 2025 and 2026. And as a way to avoid eliminating any of the 28 small conference automatic qualifiers, a time-modern and popular concept with fans, NCAA and conference leaders are targeting the addition of at-large selections as has been done in the past. The last expansion in 2011 added 4 at-large teams and created the first 4 in Dayton, Ohio, where 2 pairings of 16 seeds and 2 pairings of at-large selections meet in play-in games. The new expansion to the field is expected to result in at least 1 additional first 4 site, perhaps in the Western time zone. So think about how the games would still be in Dayton, and then you could add another site like, what is that going to be? Like Boise's always like a popular site to have these games. Sacramento, Salt Lake City, they always do like these kind of random cities. It's kind of fun for the fans in the nearby areas to go to and watch them.
It really adds to the excitement of Tuesday and Wednesday. But I want to see if this happens Tuesday and Wednesday, that it's going to be like a Colorado against a Duquesne and a Michigan against a Utah State,
right,
for play-in games, not the other guys.
No, I don't want.
But
I don't want.
how,
they can't do this with all 16 seeds.
Yeah,
they can't do that, and they can't put St. Mary's against another non-Power 5. They just can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mentioned the humans comment and the response to Franchilla. 95% of the comments are, don't touch this. It's
right.
Perfect.
Yes.
This is the one thing that everyone loves and agrees, don't mess with this. But Fran's saying, I don't want to do this, but it's inevitable, so here's the best way to go about it. And I will echo human sentiments that's if it's going to happen, okay, well, let's just go up to 72. You get more juice, more games, and a better Tuesday, Wednesday schedule. You leave the little guy alone, and he's the 16th seed, but he doesn't have to place this play-in. But it's just, these are asinine comments from these conference commissioners. And it was also Sankey who said it, and that's what was so hilarious then, that Auburn and SEC teams got bounced early on. Kentucky lost, and Auburn lost because Sankey came out and said, well, we should get more teams in. Mm-hmm. And then you lost to Yale and Oakland, so how does that taste?
Right. In Dellinger's story, he wrote that more tough decisions lie ahead as well. Officials need to determine if more small conference automatic qualifiers will be relegated to play-in games, as we've talked about here. A sensitive subject for some commissioners at lower restricted leagues.
I'm also worried about their at-large chances moving forward, because they're just not. If you think it was bad before, it's only going to get worse with the expand. They're not going to be able to get games, and if you're going to play them, it's going to be like on their home floor, or it's got to be in a holiday tournament or something. I mean, it's a stacked deck against them because they're going to keep saying, well, you don't have the quality wins. Well, no one plays me.
Right.
And you also get 15 chances at these top-tier quad one wins, whatever. I get 1 or 2. But again, if you go 3-11 and I go 1-1, I deserve to be in. Like it's like the McNeese State discussion we had. James Madison, who won a game and beat Wisconsin. If I'm 30-4, I'm in.
You have to.
I'm not taking 17-15, and you had 15 chances to improve your resume, and you couldn't do it.
I'll tell you what, too. If this is going to lean in the direction of adding more Power 5 teams that are 16-14, or even 15-15 in the regular season, 17 whatever it is, I would absolutely consider the smaller leagues getting rid of my conference tournament now, because you don't want to take that. This is even going to be riskier for a team like that you just brought up. James Madison, if they're 30-4 and they lose in the championship game and they're out, you don't want that. This is going to be even more reason to get rid of that tournament. I will argue that to the death. I don't care what people say. It's more important to get their title games on ESPN during championship. No, it's not. You win a game or two, that's way more important.
Oh, it's a ton of cash.
Yes.
Ton of money if you make a deep run. What that means, and the exposure. Again, no one had ever heard of Florida Gulf Coast
ever
until they went to the Sweet 16 and what that
people didn't even know where the school was located.
Right.
They didn't know that it existed.
And enrollment. But no one wants to see this other than these conference commissioners. Nobody wants to see a 10th place team in the Big Ten.
Absolutely not.
The little guy makes the first 4 days of the tournament. And it's schools you've never heard of, and all of a sudden, whoop, look at this, a 15-1 a game.
Right.
Oh, Norfolk State just won as a 22-point dog. Baltimore County just beat Virginia. I can't believe, the 16 seed. I mean, stuff like that. St. Pete's Elite Eight, Fairleigh Dickinson. That's what makes the tournament the first 4 days.
We remind people every year during college football, and upsets are much easier to come by in basketball than football, obviously, because they happen, way more often, and it's you're not playing with 85 players on one team. It's 12, and anything can happen on one night where a team could have a cold shooting night, whatever. But the reason why the tournament has been so big for 40 years now is because of the little guy. And the way it works is that everybody wants it in college basketball. Funny, nobody wants it in college football. But I can't get, you already said this, I can't get over this. The money quote is just, I want to set this quote on fire, actually, and burn money with this. But when the Big 12 commissioner, Brett Yormark, told Yahoo Sports in February, I want to see the best teams competing for a national championship. No different than the Big Ten and SEC want to see in football. I'm not sure that's currently happening. What a disaster.
And Sankey said the same thing.
Yeah,
you think it's a fluke if I go to the Final Four? If I win one game, okay, an upset can happen. I'm hot from 3. You can't make a shot, okay.
You want to talk about an elitist attitude. You're staring down your nose to the rest of college basketball and to quote the little guy. What was this guy like growing up as a kid? What a loser that is. What a loser comment from him.
Yeah, but how do you make that comment after what just happened and what you witnessed?
Paul,
Kentucky got beat by a guy. The kid from Oakland. I mean, how good the Golke kid, whatever his name was.
Right.
I mean that, and Kentucky actually did it a couple years in a row where they lost to St. Pete's and then they lost to Oakland, and then what happened with Yale. I mean that's laughable. And then we just saw Florida Atlantic one possession away from going to the championship game, and Butler went to back-to-back title games. Oh, buffoon! Total buffoon.
Yeah, this is from Snacks8997 on X. There's already enough terrible teams in the tournament.
I agree.
If they're guaranteed to be small conference teams getting added, I'm in. We don't want more third major conference teams getting in.
Oh, the bubble's going to be a joke.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And when we're talking about this in March.
There will be no debate.
Yeah.
Do we take this Power 5 team that's 16-14 or this team that's 17-15 when they have no good wins on their resume the entire year? I don't understand it.
It's conference commissioners, the NC2A,
the worst
and coaches. Let's expand it. Let's do that. No one wants to. The people who watch this and love it say no and don't want to touch it.
Even when you add more games to bet on, for us, the audience here, it's not going to be a good thing. Let's follow the money here on VSiN. You can email the show, ftm@vsin.com. We're on X, at VSiN Live, at Mitch Moss Radio, at Paulie Howard. We will preview the new America's team according to mainstream media, the New York Jets. Some potential bets exist with this team, one that I made last night.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. This show is brought to you by DraftKings. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard, live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Isn't this great? Like every day, we get a couple of matches at least in the Euros, and our buddy Nigel Seeley joins the program now. He is on the Progressive Guest Line, and he is with PremierSportsPlays.com. Nigel, 2-1 on the program yesterday. Good morning, lad. How are you?
I'm not too bad. All good. Very fresh. Looking forward to the action today. Good couple of games yesterday.
Yes.
Mixed bag of results. I bet Croatia in play at plus 150, so that was a bit of a disappointment. But other than that, it was all right.
I would say that's ridiculous. They give up that goal in the 95th minute, and also I have Albania $3 to finish at the bottom. I mean, that's a joke what happened. Can't allow that to happen, Nigel. Terrible.
No, but they would have been bottom if they didn't get that point. But I mean, it's been a bit of a mixed tournament for me. I mean, I haven't really hit any form really. Just I had a good day yesterday, but the most of them are leans really. The bets I've been putting down with matching money have pretty much lost. It's been a tournament very hard to read for me actually, personally. So you're my lucky omen. Every time I come on here, I seem to be okay. So to keep that continuing to next week, and I save the nuggets for you guys.
Hey, I'll take another 2-1 today. Especially the one that started the morning was a plus money price on the over. So the first game that we have starting, for those of you watching and listening live to the show right now, it starts in about an hour. We get Serbia versus Slovenia. Do you have a lean on this match, or do you have an official bet?
Well, I mean, I bet all these stuff, but sort of when I look at the matches the day before, I sort of have angles which I like. But on this one, I've already bet Serbia to win the match, but the price on Serbia now is nothing like the price that I took yesterday. They're around about minus 110. They've been heavily supported now to minus 142. So there's been a lot of money for Serbia. So I can understand why that money is. I thought they played really well in the second half against England. You know, England were dominant in the first 35 minutes, 40 minutes, couldn't get the ball off the Serbians. Serbians made some tactical changes, and Serbia were a much better side against the tournament favourites in the last 30 minutes of the game. England were hanging on for dear life, really. So I give them a chance. I don't think you're going to see. I think they played with a little bit of fear in the first 25 minutes against this England side, paid them too much respect. Then they realised they were beatable, and then they thought, well, let's have a go here. And they left it a little bit too late. The other reason I quite like them here is because these two sides have met recently. Well, not recently. Last year they met in the Nations League, which is like the third major tournament in international football. From if you're a European perspective, you have the World Cup, the European Championships, and then the Nations League. Well, the nations sort of pitted against each other. And Serbia beat them 4-1 in Serbia, and then they beat in Slovenia. It was a 2-2 draw. So I would think that form line lends itself more to Serbia. I thought the Slovenia against Denmark game was a very, very poor match. Two really poor nations. I wasn't impressed with either of them. And just what I saw from the opening match, I think Serbia have a lot more from an attacking perspective. Mitrovic, who played for Fulham in the Premier League, Vahalovic, who plays for Juventus. These are two top quality goal threats. And I think that goal threat is the thing that I like here. The other thing I like here today, more of a lean on this one, is the goals, because if you look at Serbia and the build-up to this tournament, they've been goal scoring for fun. Obviously, England kept the clean sheet, but forget about that match. Look at their match record coming in here. They've been scoring goals for fun and been conceding a lot of goals. And in the last World Cup, they took a similar kind of sort of venture form line from the last World Cup. They played Brazil in the World Cup opener in Qatar, the tournament favourites like England. They lost narrowly 2-0, didn't really offer anything. And then when they realised, right, we've got to perform here, they went and played a 3-3 draw with Cameroon, and their final match, they lost 3-2 against Serbia in an end-to-end match. It could have been 6-6. So I think the Serbians now have played their match. They've realised they've lost it, and they've got to win this match. If Serbia don't win this match, then they're out of the Euros. They've got to win it. A defeat here, and they're gone. A draw isn't going to help them. So I think they've got to go all out for the win. And Slovenia have got to go all out for a win as well after a draw as well, with England as their final game. So I think the overs are the bet here. I don't really like playing the overs, but I do think this one here on this game, I just think the way the match is set up, the form line between the two of them, the history of the World Cups previously and the way that Serbia play, I would be definitely going towards overs rather than unders. And that's around about a pick 'em sort of minus 110, whichever way you want to go. And the other thing I want to take here, if your book allows you, is the Serbians are a very, very proud nation. I mean, they've gone through a massive war in the 90s and they've come out. I mean, look at Novak Djokovic. I mean, he's the warrior that he is. And these Serbian players have got that in them. They've got this kind of like, we're not going to get beaten ethic in them. And they've got some of physicality as well. They roughed Harry Kane up like he's never, ever been roughed up before. And when they were backs against the wall in the last World Cup and they had to win their final game against Switzerland, well, it went card crazy. There was 11 yellow cards in that match. And that is what Serbia do. If things aren't going there well, I can see some histrionics. I can see them dive along the floor. I can see them putting some really hefty tackles in. And Slovenia are a pride nation as well, want to get through to the knockout stages. So this is a big, big match for these two nations. And I believe it could be quite a feisty one. We haven't seen many yellow cards in the tournament so far. But if you could bet over 3.5 cards or maybe over 4 cards, statistically, I think that would be a decent play on this match, because there is so much at stake for these two matches. When the two teams last met, Slovenia got 5 yellow cards and Serbia got 2. And in the 4-1 win, there was only 2 yellow cards. But when teams kick on and win 4, 5, 6 goals, you tend to see the cards go down because the nature of the game isn't so end-to-end. But if it's a close game, a lot to play for, I can see a few cards here today. So cards over, goals over, but Serbia to edge it.
All right, at 12 Eastern, 9 Pacific, England, Denmark. England minus 145, total 2.5, under minus 150, draw plus 260. How do you feel about England coming up here?
Listen, England don't do anything until the business end. I mean, these group matches, England get through, boring. They're not entertaining matches. That's what Gareth Southgate, the manager, does. That's what England team do, and they peak as the tournament goes on. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. I think in tournament football, you want to be peaking towards the knockout stages and not at these matches because it's irrelevant. You want to be playing when the big guns come. England are just going through the motions. This is a really bad Denmark side. They're the oldest squad in the tournament. 10 of their players are over the age of 30. It's going to be quite hot this afternoon. I think England are fresh, young. I think England will win it, but it's not going to be pretty. I mean, under 2.5 goals is definitely an angle for me. I think that would be the bet for me if you're going to play the game. I don't think it's going to be at all exciting. If you look at England in the last 2 major tournaments, in the World Cup and in the European Championship, they won their first match, and they won it quite convincingly in the World Cup, and they won narrowly in the last European Championship. And in the second match, they played they played Scotland in the Euros at Wembley, and they played USA in the World Cup in Qatar. And both of those matches ended in a 0-0 draw. And that is the kind of thing that Gareth Southgate does. He gets the 4 points. He knows he's qualified for the next round, and he's safe. So I can see both sides here being very, very happy with a point. I think under 2.5 goals. But I do think England have the extra quality. And I'm quite surprised, given his goal-scoring record, that Harry Kane is available at plus 140 to score any time in this match. I mean, he's prolific for England. Absolutely. He takes penalties. The last time these two teams met in the European Championship. Harry Kane scored in that match in the semi-finals. England won. And I do think that that is a disrespectful price for a man who scored 63 goals for his country in 93 caps, scored 35 goals for Bayern Munich this season in 31 matches. He scores more than the goal a game, and you can get him at plus 140 because he had a bad game against Serbia. He was marked out the game, but he still had one chance and he should have scored. He hit the crossbar. So I think that's a disrespectful price. My opinion, England will win it 1-0 and Harry Kane will get the goal.
All right.
Okay.
That'd be something. How about Spain and Italy? Could this be cagey? Draw 2-1. Also 2.5 under minus 150.
I think if you can get anything bigger than 2-1 on the draw here, I think you've got to take it because the draw really does help both of these sides. The way that Croatia will have 1 point, and if a draw here, Croatia can't qualify after the defeat, and then the draw again, and then you have the Albanians also with 1 point. So a draw will more or less see both of these teams through, and probably in first and second place. So the things with these things, these are like conspiracy theories where you look at the draw and think the price is plus 2.10 or $2. You either believe that they'll play a draw, or you don't believe they'll play a draw. So if you believe there's a conspiracy theory and you think they'll play a draw, then if it's going to happen, the price is minus 1,000. So it's whether you believe the conspiracy theory that they'll play out a draw. I think what will happen here, I think the first 25, 30 minutes will be good match. Okay, I think there'll be a stage of the game where both teams take the game to each other. But I believe if we get to 60 minutes in this match and it's a draw and it's a low-scoring draw, I think that's the way it will end. I think it will just fizzle out. Both sides will be quite happy. We saw what Italy were all about. They conceded after 22 seconds in Albania. They had to then get 2 goals. They got the 2 goals and they were comfortable to shut up the shop, and Albania never threatened at all in that match. Spain have probably, alongside Germany, been the most impressive team in this tournament, but they've always been the team that have struggled against the big nations. They haven't really got an out-and-out goal scorer, Morata. They've got the young 16, he's their main threat, but he's not really prolific at this level. Yamal, the young 16-year-old, is going to be the star for them in the next generation. So they're a side rebuilding. Italy a side rebuilding as well. They're the champions, they're proud. I could see this being 0-0, 1-1. I like unders again, but I do think if you can get bigger than 2-1 the draw, it's worth a little bit of interest because I just feel that they may just go through the motions if it's 1-1 or 0-0 with 25, 30 minutes to go. Maybe one of them bets that you might want to do it in play, but obviously you're going to give a big premium away in play. But pre-match, I think it just makes logic, doesn't it? Spain, Italy, big two teams you want to see in the tournament, 2 teams with fantastic history, play out a draw, both more or less guarantee a place into the knockout stages and eliminate the minnows. That's how I see it playing out.
Excellent analysis as always. Best of luck today. Have a good weekend, and we will talk to you next week, okay?
Yep. Take care, guys. I'm not around tomorrow, so I'll see you Monday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds great. There you go. Nigel Seeley, PremierSportsPlays.com on the progressive guest line here today. A lot of bets to get into that he likes. And I'm looking at Harry Kane. Shop around as always. Anytime goal is looking at several books, between plus 120 and plus 140 if you want to piggyback him with that prop. Let's follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We'll get back to American football next. More bets to look at with the New York Jets. I think a couple of player props stand out this year. Paulie and I will discuss with the numbers next here on VSiN.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. This show is brought to you by DraftKings. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard. Live this morning, as always, in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. And that is where Mike Palm joins us on a weekly basis as well. He is the maestro. He's the VP of this great property, along with the Golden Gate and the D here in downtown. Mike, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Mitch. Good morning, Paul.
Hey, Mike.
Good morning to Hamden, Connecticut, all of our loyal Nesson family that's watching. Danforth, Illinois, Peekaboo Marquee, we see you. Smoky Lake, Alberta, in the Edmonton area, everyone watching on Rogers Sportsnet north of the border, we say good morning. Bryson City, North Carolina, our growing and very vocal Masson audience. Donegal, Pennsylvania, everyone watching on Sportsnet in the Pittsburgh area and beyond in Pennsylvania. Joplin, Missouri, good morning to you watching on YouTube TV. In Garden Grove, California, it's another sunrise over Spectrum.
We have no hyperbole coming up in 15 minutes. The biggest gaps of the previous week. We'll get your thoughts on Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final tomorrow night. I want to begin with this. Circa offers a yes-no market on most of their menu, right? Will a team win the championship? Yes, plus 250. No, minus 320, whatever it is, right? So there was a story this week, Rufus Peabody, professional sports bettor, one of the very best, and he's probably the best golf bettor in the world. He laid a big price on Bryson DeChambeau to not win the U.S. Open. He came on with Gil Alexander, the show that follows us here. He explained it and tried to hedge out of that bet. I'm not asking about him. I'm asking overall about the yes-no here. Do you see a lot of action on the big no prices that you offer?
Yes.
You do?
Yes, and it's a problem. In general, we will offer a no price on anything that's 200 to 1 or less on the yes, because the numbers get so staggering. But since we're one of the few that offer it, and one of the only one in many markets that offer the no, it's a lot of one-way action for us. The problem, Mitch, is in the futures market, and I'm not saying I don't know when he made the Bryson bet, but I'm going to give you an example.
Okay.
The Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals, they're a plus 12,500, so 125 to 1 to win the Super Bowl. They're minus 45,000, so 450 for $1 not to win it. But let's say someone wants to come in and lock up some money because the Cardinals are not going to win it. And they come and they bet $45,000 when we post this right after the Super Bowl to win $1,000. The problem is the federal government sports betting excise tax, which has you pay 0.25% of all tickets written. That compounds for every month that ticket doesn't get decided. All right? So we have to sit on that ticket for 12 months and pay 0.25% every month, which is 3% of the ticket. So if the Cardinals do not win the Super Bowl this year, we pay that bettor $1,000, $46,000 back, but we also have to pay the federal government $1,350.
You're kidding.
No. Which is why it's very easy for offshore bookmakers to offer smaller straddles and better odds. They're not paying that tax.
I was unaware of this.
It's a tough market for us offering the no. It's a negative EV thing. You know, we do it as a service to the customers, but we've scaled back on how many markets we offer the no on.
Has there been a discussion about eliminating more of it?
Well, we continue to assess every month and look at these things. But we're asking about hanging the NBA odds for next year. I'm like, well, yeah, we don't want to take 100,000 in bets tonight because we're going to be paying 3,500 to the government on that.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I also like what they just put up, all the yes-no on undefeated teams in college football. And then Mitch making the case, let's just come in, you can parlay all the no's because you can dismiss so many teams. Not all of them obviously listed. It's not a long list, but it's a good list of some of the heavy hitters or teams where you think, okay, well, Notre Dame, whoever, or are they really going to run the table, Texas, somebody like that with their schedule?
Yeah, I think it's a great way to look at it. I love the Bucks not to win the East this year. Mm-hmm. I talked about that with Scotty Tribuker midway through the NBA season. I think he pounded it pretty well. Another one to look at might be the WNBA this year because the Aces were so short, and they're a popular team out here in Las Vegas to offer the yes-no. When they were really struggling before the numbers changed, I think you could have grabbed a plus number on them not to win the WNBA title. So things like that is something to always consider.
Well, for the bettor, it's terrific because you don't have to identify a team.
No, right.
I want to fade X team. Now I got to come up with A, B, and C to win it to fade X. Instead of you can just directly fade X.
Sure. Wild. I never knew about the tax thing.
The taxes. We've been fighting for this, and that's why I'm on the American Gaming Association Board of Directors and continuing to push and push and push. But now they've introduced a bill in Congress that says half of the excise money goes to problem gambling. Now it's going to be really hard to repeal it because there's we're not,
Okay.
We have a much better shot of getting the slot threshold raised for taxables than this excise. But this excise tax is brutal.
Okay, because
I thought they were doing this. Are they doing that finally?
Yeah. Well, they still need to get past one, but hopefully they're going to raise it up to 7,500.
Yeah. That was done in 1977.
Yeah, I know.
What they put that in place, $1,200.
Yeah, I know. Now it's like 9,300 is the real value of it.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean,
think about
it. It's an antiquated thing.
Yeah, the fact that it's still $1,200
how about all
to
the
hand pay
labor
jackpot?
that it takes on all these small jackpots for people having to process this, and it kicks people off machines while they got to do their tax paperwork.
Sure. When do you think that'll get changed?
Hopefully this year.
Okay.
All right, good.
The IRS committee, there's an advisory committee to the IRS. For the first time said to the IRS, you need to change this law. But the thing goes, the IRS says, well, the Treasury has to do it. The Treasury said, well, the Congress has to do it. It's the back and forth in Washington.
Oh, boy, because in my head, as you're talking about that tax that you have to pay on a year-long ticket like that every month, it doesn't get cashed out. Incredible. Yeah. That, to me, seems like that would be something that would be easily removed. But as long as they're going to
they had this office there, the Congress, that does the budget review and says, it's going to cost, so many $6 billion to the revenue of the United States if we do this, which I think is an exaggerated number. But anyhow, we'll keep you updated. But that's a tough thing about holding a no future, right? Because there's a lot of these teams that are not going to win the Super Bowl. But you're going to lose the bet. You're also going to pay the tax. In this case, the tax is more than the bet.
All right, beautiful. Contest update, and also again the promotion. If people get the full house and what you offer, with you're going strong here. Good start.
It's terrific. Whether you get 5 entries, you get discounted rate, you get 10 entries combined. You're going to get free rooms at the D, or you can pay for an upgraded room at Circa. And if you do the full house, 3 free nights at Circa, any of the 3 hotels. The pacing is really incredible now. I was going back and looking. So it hasn't been updated yet on the board, but right now as we speak, 729 in millions in Survivor, 298 in millions. That's 1,027, right? We only had 900 at the end of June last year with both of them combined.
Okay.
All right, and we still have 10 days left to go. So we're already ahead, and then it was like 230, 240 something now to 729 in Survivor. So almost triple.
Well, I would think a week from today, it's going to be up to 1,000 people.
We'll be over 1,000. I think maybe it'll be over 1,000 by Monday. We'll see. But is this going to project out? Can we extrapolate this kind of number? I know you guys said 12,000, but I mean, if this is any indication, maybe we blow through the 12,000.
Oh, it's because you always get that late push if you're getting an early push already.
Are people coming earlier? Or there's just new people?
I think new people.
We asked Jeff Benson. He had to change a tire yesterday, so he wasn't in. But we're going to ask him today to run the numbers about how many of these entries so far out of the 729, how many of these individuals were not in it last year.
That's a good question.
I walked by the book yesterday at 11 in the morning. There's 3 different proxy services. They're all with people waiting to go.
There you go.
Sign up, which is pretty strong on a Wednesday morning.
He had to change a tire yesterday?
Yeah.
You have not lived. Yesterday, you got a break because it wasn't super hot. Oh. You have not lived until you've had to change a tire in 115 degrees in Las Vegas.
But you say 150. Let's say it's 110. Coming off that asphalt, it's like 180. That's what they say at the artificial turf on these fields when it's hot. Remember when in Busch Stadium in St. Louis, hot and humid, they said, well, it's 98, but it's 130 on the turf.
That's right.
Yeah. Yep. Game 6 tomorrow. What do you think? Well, and no matter what happens, is McDavid the Conn Smythe winner?
So, unfortunately for me, I had Bobrovsky at 9-1 after Game 1 against the Rangers when he had the shutout. I sprinkled a little Barkov at plus 440, saying now I've got this locked up, right? Even because I thought it was closer than minus $5 plus 440 at that point. I thought Barkov had a better angle. I didn't touch McDavid. I think McDavid is the winner now, no matter what happened. Maybe if Bobrovsky they win 1-0 or something in Game 6, he could still salvage it. I heard you talking about the Jonathan Davis, the two-way market. Who wins? Conn Smythe. 10-1 is way too short, though.
I would not have bet that.
It's way too short, I think. I truly believe that if the Panthers are to win this series, they have to do it in Game 6 in Edmonton. I think the pressure will be too great on them having blown 3 straight games. You saw how tight they were. They got behind. They gave up the shorty breakaway.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, playing in front of your family and friends and the expectations and all the talk. The funny thing is, if this series was 2-2 and they had won Game 5, we wouldn't be hearing all these narratives, would we? Say, well, they go to Edmonton with a chance to clinch it. But because it went 3-0 and now 2, and they've dominated, really since the third period of Game 3, 7 straight periods, Edmonton has been the better team. I just think everyone's expecting the Oilers to win this game now. I think it's worth it to take the Panthers at even money in Game 6 and also bet Edmonton, which you can still get them at plus 275, 280 for the series. I think the bet makes sense.
So both of you have futures on the Panthers.
Yeah.
Did you get off that at all?
No, I have not.
No.
But
I took a little.
I'm looking at it because I think they can win here, Game 6.
money here on
If
Florida.
Well, if they lose Game 6, then I have to bet Edmonton in Game 7. But I think this is their shot to win it.
First goal is huge again.
You
You give up the shorthanded goal 5 minutes in, it's a killer.
It's very important for Edmonton to score the first goal because they get into that defensive. When they get the lead,
they
shut it
shut it down.
Yeah.
They shut it. That's why Game 2, they had the 1-0 lead halfway through. That was a shot for them to steal that game in Florida, and they didn't do it. But when they get that lead, they absolutely become less concerned with shots on goal and more concerned with defending the blue line.
Yeah, all said. Up next, he'll run down the biggest gaffes of the previous week in no hyperbole. It's Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Wes Reynolds on golf, always after Rita's breakdowns. Nigel Seeley on soccer, VSiN contributor. Everything you want, check it out. Bookmark at VSiN.com. Best bets, betting splits, odds by state, our NFL betting guide next week. Shoemaker on the WNBA. Check it out, VSiN.com. Here we go.
No bias.
You will respect my authority.
No pulled punches.
Your wife cheated on you because you lost sight of who you are as a man, as a husband.
No agenda.
There is no fear in this dojo.
This is no hyperbole.
This is the best part of the week.
Here's the maestro, Mike Baum.
All right, top 3 again this week, and we start at number 3 with When You Say Nothing at All. Rob Manfred issues a statement by Major League Baseball on Friday saying that umpire Pat Hoberg is being disciplined by Major League Baseball for violating their gambling policies. But because Hoberg is appealing the decision, they can't tell you what he did or what penalty they tried to give him. Here we go. Why was this statement even necessary? They made an announcement to say we can make no announcement. Pat Hoberg comes out and says, I'm appealing this and we proved I'm innocent. The umpires union comes out and says we were aware. Major League Baseball is investigating him. We're assisting him with the appeal. Let's just give a little bit of background on this. From Urbandale, Iowa, Pat Hoberg became a full-time umpire in 2017 and is largely regarded as one of the best umpires in baseball, top 3 in balls and strikes in all the polls amongst players and managers. Now, remember, Game 2 of the 2022 World Series between the Astros and the Phillies, he called the perfect game. From the umpire auditor, he didn't miss one pitch. The last regular season game he worked, gentlemen, was September 17th of last year. And then he was injured, missed the remainder of the regular season, and did not get any postseason assignments because Major League Baseball said he was injured. Was he? Now he comes back and umpires 2 games in spring training and they pull him off the field. I don't know anybody who was talking about this. I think the assumption was he was still injured. He tried to go out there and do this. Did somebody leak this story? Was there something coming out that Rob Manfred said, let's make a statement to say that he's under investigation, but not give any details of this? Well, what is the Major League Baseball policy for umpires on gambling? You can gamble on any other sport but baseball. You cannot bet on baseball at any level. Not Major League Baseball, not college baseball, not Olympic baseball, not high school, whatever it's offered on. Pan American baseball, Japanese baseball, you cannot bet on it. Now, Major League Baseball did say in the statement they're confident that none of the games that Hoberg umpired on were compromised. But here's a story that's dying for details, and once again, Rob Manfred, totally tone deaf. Wait till you have something concrete that you can say before you can say it. I mean, even the appeals process, if you think you've proved something that you're giving him a penalty, what do you think you've proved? Let him come out. People have to be indicted with their charges in a public format. All right. Number 2, check yourself. Tuesday night at Coors Field in Colorado. Of course, we all know this tremendous 9th inning in this call. What gets overshadowed here is another start where Walker Buehler got shelled again. This guy's ERA is 6. Let's not overlook this in the whole story of the National League season here. Betts is injured. Philly's got a great shot to get the 1 seed, if it means anything. Buehler 7 earned over 4 innings pitched, and the Rockies lead the Dodgers 9-4 going to the bottom of the 9th. 2 walks and a single, and Jason Hayward hits a grand slam with 1 out to cut the deficit to 9-8. Now they bring in Victor Vodnik. Ohtani singles. He strikes out Will Smith, and then Teoscar Hernandez comes up. 1-2 pitch. I want you to take a look at this if you're able to watch at home. The two different views of this, the check swing. The head-on view looks like he clearly went. The side view here, I'm not so sure. They appeal to Lance Barksdale. He says no swing. The announcers go nuts. Bud Black comes out of the dugout. He gets thrown out of the game. You can see Barksdale say it's not even close. Of course, the next pitch, 101 miles an hour. Hernandez takes it deep to right, and the Dodgers go ahead 11-9, and they win. It's very funny if you watch the tape. Jake Cave, who's the right fielder, as soon as the ball goes over the wall, starts running at Barksdale, screaming at him, throws his glove. Cave says as he comes off the field, Barksdale says the same thing to him. Cave, it wasn't even close. Now, I don't know that you can say it wasn't close. Here's the bottom line. Let's wrap a big bow around this. Shouldn't we have some objectivity about what's a check swing? Everybody has a different opinion on what's a check swing. Did the barrel of the bat cross home plate? Did the batter break his wrist? Was there a swinging motion? Just put it in the rule book. What's a check swing? Because there's very, very many definitions that we can move off from. Let's not forget the fact that the Rockies blew a 5-run lead in the ninth. And then number one, this is truly unbelievable. Foul play. These two Texas A&M fans against Florida. You know, the oddity of the whole thing and why this got caught live on cameras by ESPN is because there's a close call at third. So they pan to the Florida dugout to see if they want a challenge. And you see these two guys right on the side of the dugout screaming into the dugout. People on the scene, Eric Sorensen, who's a writer who follows college baseball, was there and could hear it all. Talked about what these two guys were saying, yelling at the head coach, Kevin O'Sullivan, that he killed somebody and he should be ashamed. So the background of this is really very tragic. So there's this family, the Reinhardts in Florida, right? They're going to go through a divorce. 2 kids, 14-year-old son Rex and a 12-year-old son Brody. The 12-year-old son Brody was a regular bat boy for the University of Florida team. There's a lot of you could read a lot of stories about this, going back and forth. The dad, they're a wealthy couple. Dad changed the life insurance policies to take the wife off of it. She's calling at him, screaming about, you're going to leave no money, tell him to kill himself, this and that. He takes the 2 boys and murders them, shoots them both in the back of the head. There's a law going to be in Florida where if minors are killed in a domestic dispute, you don't release the details of the autopsy. All off this case, calling it Brody's Law. Gruesome details. Then shoots himself, then sets the house on fire and burns down the house. The lady goes on and marries the head coach of Florida, the wife from this. So now they've been family friends for years. It said that all the reports I see, they never dated while she was still married. But these 2 Texas A&M fans now come down and are yelling at him about these 2 kids, like, you're the murderer. You're the reasons these kids are dead.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my God.
So the stadium security and then the Omaha police throw these 2 out. The Omaha Police Association came out with a statement. They want them barred from the city for life. Absolutely barred from the city for life. They gave him a 1-year suspension from the rest of the College World Series. The coach, Schlossnagel, who I showed with the Florida coach, said, I don't know who they are, but they don't represent what Texas A&M is all about. I hope they never come back. Do not let them into a ballpark. But you talk about despicable acts of fans. Here's one of them. I remember when Kerr's dad got kidnapped and they were chanting PLO when Arizona State, when he was at the free throw line. That ranks right up there with them with the despicable acts. That's no hyperbole.
Yeah, I'm guessing they're not actually Texas A&M fans, but they don't like the guy or they don't like Florida, and they dressed up as A&M fans.
That's a possibility.
To go there and heckle him.
That's a real possibility.
That's what I'm thinking the story is.
This never comes to light unless there was the call, because the camera happened to pick it up.
I don't think it becomes a national story, but only because when they pan to the dugout, you see these 2 people in A&M shouting into the dugout, and the writer Sorensen says, and the Florida coaching staff shouted back a lot of expletives, get the F out, and this sort of stuff until security got there.
Yeah.
But it just happened to be caught on national TV because they were looking at the dugout to see if he would challenge.
Unruly behavior like that. We played this video earlier on, and this is all over social media for those of you listening in the radio audience as well. They're up in Reno, I guess this was. First of all, the kid who did this and hopped on the craps table, I honestly thought the person was 16 years old.
Oh, no.
They look very young. So evidently not. How does this happen? Where's security? Get him off the table. Break an arm. I don't care. Do whatever you got to do.
If I'm very concerned about what I have on the layout. If I'm another
yeah,
player.
of course. Yes.
I'm getting my money back. Okay,
Yes,
I'm very, very concerned how much I have on the, and how long is that going to take to reconstruct?
Well, then he starts firing chips at people, too. He starts throwing them at everyone. Oh, it's coming up right here. Look at this. He just starts throwing it.
Yeah.
That's Sharon Stone in Casino.
Yes,
Throws
it
them
is.
all up in the air.
Nick Cage and Leaving Las Vegas.
You're right. And then he starts throwing them at people. Finally, security comes over.
Mike, what's the proper protocol
I
here?
think if I'm the dealer there, I pick him up and throw him right off the table. I mean, just to protect the integrity of the game.
I know. I'm getting a little aggressive here with the beatdowns, but I'm not joking about the security. How did it take more than 5 seconds to get him off the table?
It depends on where they are, but they should be there within 15 to 20 seconds. But this goes on and on and on here.
I know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That was my
It
takeaway.
almost looks like it's staged
Well.
to that point, to the point that it keeps going and going and going.
Strangest thing in your career? Any property? You can't say on air?
No, it would have to come from the poker table, when the guy stood up from the 5 seat, walked around and vomited on the dealer.
The pea soup again? The pea soup.
The pea soup.
Yeah.
And vomited
Still
on
the pea soup. I know.
But, and he was a doctor. He was actually a medical doctor. And he said, well, I was trying to get to the trash can. Kathy Steffen was the dealer. Kathy.
Wow,
Poor
what
Kathy.
a memory.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Kathy.
Maestro. Great to see you as
1998.
always.
Thank you.
B plus. Good man. You're a good
Richard
man.
Roper on the show up next. Longtime film and movie reviewer, also a big-time sports fan. We'll get his thoughts on the hype about the Bears this year coming up next.